All right, this is going to be my one and only political video, so buckle up. It's probably going to be a long one. And this light might die. I'm just going to power through it. I don't want to change out the batteries and charge them and deal with it. So if it dies, it dies. So on this channel, I focus on New Age self-reliance. It's right there in the name of the channel. I use modern equipment, modern technology, modern ways of thinking to achieve self-reliance / personal preparedness. When you talk about self-reliance, a lot of people talk about like living in a cabin in the middle of the woods. When you talk about personal preparedness, people think about stockpiling years worth of food, stockpiling lots and lots of things to have like a 10-year supply of everything. When people talk about self-sufficiency, they think about living off-grid in the middle of nowhere with chickens and cows and huge garden and completely living old house on the prairie style, right? I am not in any of those camps, okay? And so because of that, because I am not fully in one of those camps, number one, my channel doesn't really grow because people aren't actively trying to find uniqueness. I'm hard to find. I'm hard to get a hold of because unless you are searching for exactly what I'm saying, you're never going to find it because I'm so unique. I have such a different perspective than everybody else in those camps, which also is a benefit to you because now you get to see kind of a different way of thinking, a different way of handling things, a different way of using things. And I think that that's very valuable. I think that my uniqueness is what pushes me to keep making these videos. Even though my channel doesn't grow, I still do pretty well considering that YouTube doesn't really help me at all. All of my growth comes from likes, shares, and subscribes. The comment section does help a ton, but I don't get a lot of comments either because again, people they're processing what I'm saying. They're not really commenting much. And so I have over 650 videos. And so even though I say I don't get a lot of comments, you have to understand that all of those videos are still kind of getting views. And so I do get a lot of comments per day. I just don't get a lot of comments per video, right? And so, yeah, I bring a very unique perspective, but I don't fall into any of those camps. And so it was really hard naming this channel because New Age Self-Reliance it used to be Wolfpack Woodcraft, and everybody that saw it thought I was a woodworking channel. Everybody saw Woodcraft, and if you go to woodcraft.com, it's a woodworking website, and so everybody associated Woodcraft with woodworking, and so I had to change it because I didn't want to mislead people. I didn't want people to think that I was trying to be misleading in any way. So I changed it to New Age Self-Reliance, and now people think that I should be out in the middle of the woods living off the land. And so I don't really know where I fall. In my opinion, I use self-sufficient mindsets, self-reliant mindsets, and personal preparedness mindsets to kind of be as self-reliant as possible. I rely on myself to do most things. I fix my own vehicles. I fix my house. I live in a house. I have a garden, and I try to do everything myself. I try to rely on myself and not the professionals. And so because I have a unique mindset, because I'm kind of out there, I also try to make videos that get you thinking outside the box. And recently I made a video, well, I'm in the process of making a video where I talk about firearms and the 3 firearms that you actually need. Because when I look at people talking about firearms, there's a certain rifle you need and there's a certain pistol you need because the only thing they're focusing on is personal protection and self-defense. That's it. That's the only thing they're focusing on. And in my opinion, that's something that, yes, I know that it's trending right now and so it's getting people lots of views, but I don't think that it's helping the most amount of people. I think that there is a better set of firearms that can help you achieve a ton more than just self-defense. And so I was going to make that video, and because of current events, specifically the Charlie Kirk assassination, I was worried about people picking details out of it and thinking I was meaning certain things and thinking that certain things meant that I felt this way or felt that way. And so let me be crystal clear. I am a big fan of Charlie Kirk. I was very saddened and upset when I saw his assassination. I've been watching a lot of his old videos, just kind of being inspired by him. I did not agree with everything he said. I wouldn't even be comfortable saying I agreed with most of the things he said. But he was still very good at what he did. He still had a lot of very good opinions. And to expect one person to know everything, I feel is hypocritical. To expect one person to share all the same views as me, I feel is hypocritical, because I don't agree with everything my dad thinks. I don't agree with everything my mom thinks. I don't agree with everything my brother thinks. I don't agree with everything Caroline thinks. There's nobody in my life that is 100% in agreement with me on everything, right? There are things that I say that turn out to not be true because I thought of it differently than everybody else, and I didn't have the information I needed to say a factual statement, right? To expect someone to have all of the answers and know everything, in my opinion, is hypocritical. And the fact that Charlie Kirk was willing to go out there and do the best he could with what he had, I thought was very courageous, and I thought was very inspirational. The other thing, I truly, honestly believe that the only way you can have a real opinion, you can have all the opinions you want, but if you want a real opinion, it needs to have logic and fact in that opinion to actually be a real opinion. The only way to have logic and fact is if you have both sides of the story. You have to have both sides of the story, otherwise your opinion is just an idea. It's not based on anything. It's just based on your thoughts and ideas and dreams and wishes, and right? It's not based on anything that's tangible. And so in order to have a real opinion, you have to have both sides of the story. And so one of the things that I like to do politically is I like to watch people on both sides of the aisle. I like to get both sides of the story, and then I make my opinion. Some of you, well, I guess not some of you because you're watching this, there have been some people that have kind of caught on to my political views in some of my videos. And even though I'm not outspoken about them, because again, I don't feel I can be any use to you. I feel like I can't help you in any way, shape, or form. I feel like when it comes to politics, I'm more confused than most people are. I feel like I don't understand things as well as everybody else understands them. I really, truly feel like I'm lost most of the time, and I'll get into why in a little bit. But I feel like there's no value I can add politically to you in your life. And so I try to avoid it, because there's no point in bringing it up and talking about it when I literally, there's nothing I can do to help you, right? I try to focus on things that I know to be true. I focus on things that have helped me and that can hopefully help you. And I try to share my viewpoints on things that I feel I am knowledgeable about, because I feel like those can be helpful, right? So, what are my political views? Well, again, I try to be on both sides of the aisle, and I try to get the information from both sides, and I find myself, I am more right-leaning. I don't consider myself a Republican. I don't consider myself right-wing. I consider myself a normal human being with basic ideas, And the reason that if you go to a Star Wars convention and you say, who is the most important character in the Star Wars franchise, you're going to get Yoda, you're going to get Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Han Solo, Chewbacca, R2-D2. You're going to get so many different answers, so many different reasons why. If I go to a car show and I say, what is the best vehicle ever made? I'm going to get so many different opinions with so many different reasons why. If I go to a knitting convention and I'm like, what is the best way to get started knitting? People are going to go through all these different knitting techniques and why they're the best for getting started. Like, nobody in any of these things, these are die-hard fans. These are people that really care about the craft, care about the genre, they all have different opinions. But when it comes to a Republican, especially one that's in office, they all think the same way. Like you ask them about guns, they all say the exact same thing. You ask them about abortion, they all say the same thing. Same thing with Democrats. They all think exactly the same way. And I feel like that's dangerous. I don't feel like that's right. I feel like that's not how real world works, right? I feel like the parties are not honest. I feel like once you pick a side, they force you to think a certain way. They force you to vote a certain way. Same thing with the Democrats. Once I'm a Democrat, they force you to think a certain way. They first force you to vote a certain way. And so I don't agree with this party system, and I don't like being a part of it, and I don't even really like that it exists. We should be, when we vote for a representative, they are not our leaders, by the way. None of them are leaders. In the United States of America, we are governed for the people, by the people. That's us. We are the leaders. There used to be a joke in like cartoons and stuff, an alien would come and it would land and be like, take me to your leader. And then everybody would laugh because who are you supposed to take him to? Because we're all the leader. And then like to add to the joke, it'd be like some hillbilly missing all of his teeth and dropped out of school in the 3rd grade. And it's like, of course, that's the person they meet because that guy's just as much the leader as anybody else, right? And it used to be like a joke and people used to laugh and it'd be like, ha, 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 ha. And now people are calling our president a leader. There are people that call our president the world leader. There is no leader of the world. There is nobody in charge of the entire world. There are representatives, right? And us, as the leaders, as the boss, we need to hire people to fill those positions, right? We cannot go to every single meeting. We cannot be at every single vote. We have lives. We have kids we have to raise. We have jobs we have to go to. We are very, very busy. We have to hire out our responsibilities to these representatives. And so every single time you're at the ballot box, you are hiring a person to fill that position for you. You're putting your vote in to who you think would be the best person in that position. And that's what voting should be. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm going to vote red. We need a red wave. Oh, I'm going to vote blue no matter who. So like, no. These are real important jobs that need to be filled by competent, knowledgeable human beings, and we should be voting for the person that is most capable of doing that job to the best of their ability. I don't care if you're a Republican. If you suck, I'm not going to vote for you. I don't care if you're a Democrat. If you suck, I'm not going to vote for you. Right? I'm going to vote for the person that's capable of doing the job to the best of that job's ability. And so that's how I feel about it. I don't like the two-party system. I don't like the party system in general. I don't think that it's right that a party all thinks the exact same way, feels the exact same way about every single subject. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so, with that being said, how do I vote? I vote right wing. Again, I try to get both sides of the aisle. because there are people on the right. They've always been on the right. I'm not going to get into that because you already know it's true. The problem that I personally have is the people on the left that I followed, that I felt were knowledgeable, logical, cared about the truth, cared about finding the facts, cared about making sure that things are done the way they're supposed to be done, were, well, Joe Rogan was very much a Democrat. When he lived in California, he was a Democrat through and through. Now he's right wing. Elon Musk is right wing. Tulsi Gabbard ran for president as a Democrat. Now she's right wing. Bill Maher, he's a Democrat. Like, I don't care what he is still a Democrat. I still view him as a Democrat, and I still appreciate his views on the left. But I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people think he's right wing. Russell Brand is a Democrat, right? But people keep calling him a right wing because he thinks there's only a few things that he thinks that he agrees with on the right, but that just automatically makes him right wing, because if you agree with any single thing on the right, you're right wing. And if you have to think every single thing a Democrat thinks in order to be a Democrat. If one thing isn't aligned, you're right wing. Bernie Sanders, didn't he leave the Democratic Party and he's a moderate now, or he's an independent or something? He's not even considered a Democrat anymore, even though he's like the most Democratic person I think I've ever seen. I don't get it. I really don't get it. The whole politics thing is just, I don't understand it, and I don't get it. But how do I vote? We'll just talk about presidency because that's what everybody seems to care about. I never voted, right? I didn't, no matter who the president was, I went to work, I paid my bills, I did what I was supposed to do. My life didn't change much. Any presidents, to this day, my life hasn't changed. Things got a little expensive under Joe Biden, but my life hasn't really changed much at all, no matter who the president has been. I think Dave Ramsey says it best when it says, what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House. And I focus on my house, not the White House. However, I live in Minnesota. Minnesota, they're starting to call California 2.0. It's very blue. It's been blue for longer than California. It's just not as far blue as California. But it's blue, okay? It's a very Democrat-run state. 2020, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing Bernie Sanders signs, Bernie Sanders bumper stickers, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Sanders. If I was a gambling man, I would have put it all on Bernie Sanders in 2020. Everything. I would have put the house on Bernie Sanders. He's going to win. Hands down, easy. Bernie Sanders. All of a sudden, they said, you can't vote for Bernie Sanders. You have to vote for Joe Biden. And I was like, wait a minute here. The people said that the person most capable of doing the job is Bernie Sanders, and now you're telling them that they can't vote for the person that they want representing them. Like, that's the whole point of all this, is to pick the person you think is going to represent you the best, and you're telling these people that they can't. They have to vote for Joe Biden. And no joke, everybody, yeah, Joe Biden's the best. He's better than Bernie Sanders. It's like, you do realize you still have the Bernie Sanders sign in your yard. You still have the Bernie Sanders bumper sticker on your car, and now you're trying to convince me that you wanted Joe Biden this whole time? Like, it still shocks me. Like, I still don't believe it's real. It was like I was living in the Twilight Zone. Like, I was like, this is some kind of weird reality where there's like a glitch in reality where people forgot that the Bernie Sanders stuff was still out there. And it just blew my mind. And I was like, something really bad's going to happen. Something really bad is I didn't like it. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I had to do something. What's the only thing I can do? The only thing I can do is vote. So the first time I voted was 2020, Donald Trump, because of, that scared me. It scared me what they were doing with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Again, it wasn't a Democrat thing. It was just that situation. It was a Joe Biden thing, right? It was him specifically that I was like, something weird is going on with that right there. Okay. So then Joe Biden wins, right? And this is where more chaos. The whole time in 2020, nobody was taking Donald Trump's vaccine. Nobody. Everyone was all like, Donald Trump's vaccine is the worst, because we all understood that the reason it takes years to make a vaccine is because it has to get tested, right? You have to test it to make sure it's safe, for one. And for two, you got to make sure that it actually does what they say it's going to do, right? So you got to test it. By shrinking that amount of time, you're not making the vaccine faster. You're just getting rid of all that testing that, again, guarantees that it's safe and guarantees that it does what you say it's going to do, right? We all understood that. We were all on board. Kamala, Joe Biden, AOC, Bernie Sanders, we're all like, there's nothing that's going to get me to take Donald Trump's vaccine. And when Joe Biden won, I was like, at least we don't have to worry about the vaccine. The very next day, right? No one's taking Donald Trump. We all agreed. Right wing, left wing, all agreed that vaccine was not the best idea, right? Joe Biden not taking Donald Trump's vaccine. Next day, 1 million shots in my first 100 days, right? And what? What? Like, I don't believe it's true. Like, there's a glitch in the system somewhere. Like, I witnessed something, and I feel like I'm the only one that witnessed it. Like, is there a glitch in the matrix where I just, like how did you go from Bernie Sanders, and then there was a glitch where it was Joe Biden, and then there was no way in hell we're taking Donald Trump's vaccine, and then there was another glitch in the matrix where 1 million shots in my first 100 days, and I'm like, this is messed up. Like, I don't understand this at all. And then you had Republicans saying, we're not taking Donald Trump's vaccine, and then you had the Democrats saying, if you don't take it, you're a murderer. It's like, what happened months ago, a couple months ago, where you weren't going to take it either? like we all agreed no one was going to take it, and now you're forcing people to take it, or they're going to lose their jobs, they're going to lose, like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. And that's why I don't talk about it, is because you look at both sides of the story, and none of it, I can't form a real opinion. I can't even talk about it really without getting flabbergasted, because it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like I'm in the dark. I feel like everybody knows something that I don't. And so, yeah. And so in 2024, again, everybody was like, Joe Biden, he's doing a great job. This is the Democrat side. Joe Biden, he's doing a great job. Everything is great. Everything is wonderful. We hate the inflation, but everything else. And Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. And then they said, you can't vote for Joe Biden. You have to vote for Kamala. You have to. She's the one that's going to be on the ballot. And then all of a sudden everyone's like, yeah, Kamala, I guess. And there wasn't as big of a shift, like from Bernie to Joe Biden. It was like 100% shift. Everybody was all like, Bernie Sanders. And then all of them were like, actually Joe Biden. And then Joe Biden in 2024, it was like, Joe Biden. And then like some people were like, oh, actually Kamala. Like it wasn't as big of a shift. But it was still like, hang on here. Like, that's twice in a row now where you told the people they couldn't vote for the person they think is best capable of doing the job. That's 2 times now where you told them that they can't be represented by the person they feel can actually represent them. And then Tim Walz, and then after they said that, okay, Kamala is going to be on the ticket, then she got to pick her vice president, meaning the people didn't get to know who the vice president was before anything anyway. And then I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump was nominated and then picked his vice president too. And so if you wanted to vote for Donald Trump, you didn't get to vote for the vice president because you didn't know who the combo was going to be. And I know there's a lot of people that like to vote on that. They like to see, okay, this is the president, this is the vice president. You know, do I like that combo? But I don't know. Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. But I'm pretty sure J.D. Vance didn't get selected until like after Trump was nominated, or like very, very shortly before he was nominated. And again, I don't have all the information. I don't remember every single thing that happened step by step by step. I am not a perfect human being. I don't have a perfect memory. I don't have all the information. Hopefully you have some grace and some forgiveness. But this is why I don't talk about politics, because I don't understand it and I don't agree with so much of it, and I don't know what happened. I feel like it never was like this before. And I feel like, I don't know, it just seems like it's more chaotic than it has ever been. I feel like it's more pushed down people's throats than it's ever been before. I feel like people are making it matter way more than it's ever mattered before. Again, when times are good, don't touch nothing. The government's position is to make life good. The other thing is they keep trying to give themselves raises. A senator makes $140,000 a year. Their job is not to give themselves raises because of the job that they do. Their job is to make sure that people that make $140,000 a year are wealthy. That's their job, right? If you make $140,000 in this country like a representative, you should be wealthy. You shouldn't be struggling in any way, shape, or form, right? The government has the power to make that happen. We saw that with inflation. We saw that with egg prices, and we saw that with shipping crisis, and we saw this with all these things that made prices go up, harder to afford things, housing market, right? Your job is not to give yourself a raise. Your job isn't to make more money. Your job is to make $140,000 wealthy, right? Let's make 6 figures a year wealthy again. That's what I want. It's ridiculous that they're all like more money, more money, more money, more money, and it's all like let's just make the money that we already have more valuable. Like instead of needing $1 billion, why don't we make a $1 bill important again, right? It blows my mind that you used to be able to get all this stuff for $1, right? There was the dollar store where you could go and you could buy a bunch of stuff, $1 a piece. They had to raise the price. Why? It takes the same materials to make it. It takes the same machinery to make it. It takes the same number of employees to make it. Everything about Coca-Cola has been the same for at least the last 20 years. How come now all of a sudden it's more expensive? Like what about the process has made it so where you need more money than you did before? It's just, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense to me. I don't understand most of it. I'm just trying to do the best I can with what little information I have. My camera died, and so I had to cut this in. The last thing I want to talk about is the news, okay? When you think about it, nobody can take their eyes off a train wreck. You know it's bad. You know it's horrible. You know it's whatever, but you can't stop looking at it. Nobody sits around and watches traffic. If nothing really bad is happening and nothing really good is happening, nobody cares, right? it seems in modern day life, it is easier to make bad things happen than it is good. Meaning, in order for the news to get views, in order for the news to make money, in order for the news to exist in general, bad things have to happen. And so what do? I'm not going to say they make bad things happen, but they scour the whole earth looking for bad things. And when you scan the whole earth, you make people feel helpless. You make people feel vulnerable. When you focus on things that are outside of your control, you are helpless. When you focus on things that are outside of your control, you are worthless. There's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can. It is 100% outside of your control, but you still have empathy. You still feel for those people. You still want to help. You still want to do something, but there is nothing. And it's creating a lot of depression, anxiety, people feeling desperate for no reason. They have a roof over their head, they have food in their stomach, they have everything they need, but they feel desperate because there's so much bad things happening. And so the news sucks, right? It makes you focus on things that do not matter in your personal life. They focus on things you have absolutely no control over because you keep going back for more. You can't get enough of it. That train is wrecking. People are dying. People are getting sick. People are taking advantage of one another. People, there's all these horrible things happening, and you can't get your eyes off it because it's just, I don't know why. It's just human nature, I guess. And they're feeding on that human nature to get views, to make money, to pay for their show. And I feel like we need to reward the places that are focusing on the good, and we need to spend less time and energy and money in the places that are focusing on all of the bad, right? I was watching something in New York that happened, and I was all like, that sucks, and I'm all sad and depressed about something that happened in New York. I have no control. I can't afford to fly to New York, let alone do anything while I'm there, right? I've never been to New York. I never will go to New York. It is completely 100% out of my control. It's 100% out of my jurisdiction. I am 100% helpless. There's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. And so for it to ruin my day, for it to ruin my entire weekend, to just be sad and miserable, my son sees me sad and miserable over something that doesn't even affect any of us. Caroline, I'm moody because I'm sad about something that I have no control over, which is affecting her. The people around me are getting affected. I told you I was going to die. The people around me are getting affected in ways that I'm causing chaos in my own home because of something I have no control over in New York. That's not fair. That's not helpful. That's not anything. I'm not saying you shouldn't be informed, but I am saying you need to care the most about where you are physically and not what you're seeing on a screen. You need to care more about the people next to you at work than you do me, because I am just a person on your screen. Those people need help. Those people need someone to pick them up. They need somebody to help carry their groceries. They need help now, I'm not even here right now. I'm actually filming this on a Wednesday, and you're going to see it on a Friday, right? We need to start caring the most about the people that we surround ourselves with. Once they're taken care of, once they're happy, once they have everything that they need to be comfortable, you can broaden your horizons a little bit. But I think that in order to make this world a better place, in order to make Charlie Kirk's legacy live on, we need to take care of the people that we can physically touch, physically see, physically surround ourselves with. And I believe, again, this is my speculation. This is why doesn't really matter. But my why is I believe that's why he went to the college campuses. Because even though he had one of the largest podcasts and he reached lots of people online, he spent his most amount of energy and time and resources in physical people. And I feel like that's what made him effective. That's what made him important. That's what made this tragedy so tragic. Is that he didn't affect a bunch of people online. He affected a lot of people in real life. He touched a lot of people with his voice in real life. Not over a camera, not over a screen, not over the internet, but in person, in reality, in truth. And I want to keep that spirit alive by taking care of the people in this house, taking care of my neighbors. When I see that their lawnmower is not working, I'm always over there trying to fix it for them. When I see them trying to load something onto a trailer, I go and I help push. I try to make the people around me's lives a little bit better, because those are the people that matter the most. And I hope that if you made it to the end, that you found something inside of this video that you can agree with. I know you're not going to agree with all of it. I know you're not going to agree with most of it. But hopefully we can find some common ground, and hopefully we can come together, still be friends, still be friendly, still enjoy each other's company. And I appreciate you for watching. I don't appreciate the train. Hopefully the train's not bothering you too much, but I got to get back to it. I'm going to make that gun video. And if anybody is picking it apart, I'm going to link to this video. So like, share, subscribe. Can't wait to see you on my next video.